Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the number 2 podcast in the 01 podcast group.
No, we're still as podcasts, yeah, we're number 2.
Damn it. What did you talk about writing on an episode?
No. As a writing podcast, we're number 1, but as a podcast, just in general on the network,
you told me beforehand
we're kind of number 2.
You told us we were the number 2 writing podcast beforehand.
No. I said we're the number 2 podcast.
We really need to work on this rating system.
It shifts every week.
I know, you gotta stop that. It's confusing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Writers Mindscape. I am Tim.
I'm Adam.
This week we are wrapping up a sequence of episodes on how to start your world.
Yes.
Just to do a quick recap, we said we started off with where to begin and how to begin.
Yes.
And then we talked about brainstorming or writing down your ideas for your world.
Right.
And then last week we talked about how to start fleshing out by picking an idea, just picking anyone.
Yeah.
More specifically in an area that you like or are interested in world building, and go from there.
Right.
Today we're gonna wrap this part of how to go about developing a world.
Yeah.
Today.
Okay.
And then starting soon after that, we'll be actually diving into the details of our own world.
I can't wait.
I know.
I can't wait.
Especially me, because in 2 episodes we're gonna be doing one of my favorite topics, which is magic.
Oh, sweet.
Next week we'll actually do a standoff on the look of the world.
Right. Or the next episode that we record.
Yes. Which will be still technically next week, but
maybe
not. You haven't decided yet?
I don't know.
But anyway, it'll be talking about the look of the world.
I control the release schedule. I will release the shows when I feel like it.
You do remember I have the access code.
I know. I know.
But anyway, so this week we're just going to finish up where to go from here. So, like we talked about last week, you basically take your idea to the end point or to a point where you have to stop because you just kind of you've hit a block, you just need to think through some stuff.
Yeah.
Which is natural. But when you get to the point where you have you know what, this is where I want. This is what I wanted. I got enough details here. Maybe there's still room to flesh it out in more details, but or evolve it more later on.
You have your beginning, you have your middle, you have your end.
Yes, you have a good understanding of this concept. For the example here, we're going to use a culture just for that.
Okay. One
of your races on your planet, on this world, you've really dove deep into.
Yes.
Their backgrounds,
their history,
the background,
socio-economic situation.
Not necessarily that much. Just more the cultures, right. Their holidays, how they worship gods, what gods they have, stuff like that.
Right.
And this is really a subsect of actually races in general. Usually, it's usually not its own thing, but I'm just using it as an example today.
Okay.
But you've gotten to the book. Nope, I'm good enough. If at some point I want to dive deeper into other areas I haven't really thought of, or even come to mind, I can, because I know it will come to me. I'll do it then. It's time. I want to move on to a different part of my world to start fleshing out. Okay, so how do you do that? Go back to step 1.
Yes.
Actually, technically, you're going to go back to step 2 to your ideas. If you don't have any ideas find one of your other areas that you like. Let's say you like war.
Okay.
And no, let's dive into races.
Sure.
You decided to you really didn't come up with a race. You just you had an idea for a culture.
Yes.
Now you actually want to develop that race of this culture.
Okay.
It has it. So now you would go back to your ideas. Maybe you got some ideas for different races. Pick one that you really think dives into this would work well. If you don't have any more ideas, start writing some ideas out, which I'm sure you would have by now because you've really fleshed out this culture. You may know what they actually look like in more details. Ideas for history, ideas for their natural abilities if they are magical beings.
Okay.
Go that. So you start doing that, and you flesh it out again. Basically, it's repeat and adjust. It's basically what you do.
Yes.
You go back to the beginning of the steps, and you start over. But here's the thing. You're not starting from scratch anymore.
No.
Because you have something already developed. And you get to keep that in mind while you're doing something different. And then if you come up with something in this new area that can affect, let's say, your culture. Oh, I didn't think about what by adding this here. This is going to change this part. You go back to the culture and you make the adjustments.
Yep.
You're constantly adjusting everything, and which is why it's very good advice from well-known fantasy authors out there. Pick 3 or 4 areas that you really, really enjoy to really detailedly flesh out. Because if you do try to flesh out what Tolkien did,
Yeah.
you're going to be working on your world for a very long time. Because it's a lot of work to flesh this stuff out.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why when I write my worlds, I have a lot of details on them. But I have no idea how I'm actually going to describe some of this stuff. I wrote a sci fantasy trilogy that I had to stop because there were so many plot holes. And I realized I only had the character arcs for the 2 main characters and none of the side cast that are important. But I had this really detailed magic system. Had no clue how it was actually going to look and act within a visual story. So I was really figuring this stuff out as I was writing it.
Oh, cool.
Which allowed me to have more creative juices because I didn't think that part out, which actually I like. Because I still have a creative process of saying, oh, this is how this works. No, now I get to describe this stuff visually. So I still have some creative. But some people want to know everything from the start.
Okay.
Which is fine. It really depends on what kind of writer you are. Adam, anything you want to add to this?
Actually, no.
Not really?
No, because, I mean, even with my method, I either hit a roadblock or I get to the end of my synopsis, the plot.
Yep.
And I go right back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, no, I'm going to take this. Here's my idea. I'm going to rework that idea.
Yep.
Well, does the rest of my idea still work? Okay. And it's just, once again, it's go back to the beginning and adjust. And it doesn't have to be because you put something at the end that doesn't work.
No.
It should already work.
Yeah.
And if you come to the same logical the same conclusion that you had before, and nothing really changed, all you've done is then fleshed out piece by piece along the way, and keep doing that. Even if you're not necessarily, just full on rewriting everything.
Yeah.
If you're just grabbing your sheets and reading something, being like, you know what, I'm gonna attach a page to this, and you write up a new page to go in that spot or to go along with that spot.
Yeah.
And then you're all right, and then you just keep reading. You're like, ooh, this needs to be changed to this because that character's not important anymore. It's just not important.
And I actually think that's actually a good idea because what you just mentioned is going back and starting from the scratch. Because when you're first starting with something, you do need to go back through and reread it because you guaranteed there are going to be
you've missed
plots.
Something.
There's going to be holes in the logic of how things work.
Or you created a character that you thought was very important, and therefore you gave it all this attention, only to find out that with your end game, that character's not important at all. And you're like, well, I don't need to have all of this in here. And then you start cutting things out and adding things in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to keep going back to it because when you first start something, it's called a first draft for a reason.
Yes.
There's plot holes and everything. You have to go back and keep looking at it because as you add more stuff, if you got a new idea and you just doesn't really match what you have already, you have to rework everything so it works together.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that you originally came up with is not going to be morphed to fit within as well. Unless you say, no, this is the base idea and everything.
This has to be the base idea.
Now, everything I've had before has to conform to this.
No, sometimes you can change your foundation a little bit.
You can do that. Basically you're starting from over again, but you still have source material.
You're like, I still have the plot of land here.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, we're going to remold this.
Yeah, but it's just, again, it's a really good point. Like, you do want to go back as you're adjusting stuff as you create new areas of your world. You need to go back over these areas to make sure you're catching the loopholes.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. You don't always have to fix everything because if you get to a point in your story that you haven't figured it out yet, that can be a plot point in a story.
Exactly.
Or, why can someone do this? That makes no sense. Because you don't know why, and that can be part of the reason why. Allowing it for those people who prefer, like, specifically in like magic, they
Yes.
want a sense of mystery and wonder.
I mean, I really enjoy political intrigue. You
Yeah.
know, especially with royalty.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I watch a lot of royal court dramas. Okay, it's fun. It's a fantasy life that I could never live.
until I take over the world.
Exactly, and then I'll be part of the royal court, and I'll be like, "This is easy."
That's what you think.
I know.
People who know me, they're gonna be the first one on the chopping block
Dang it.
because they know those. I can't have those people who know me so well to start the rebels. There is gonna be a rebel faction. I know exactly who's gonna start those. The kids who went to Greater Plains Elementary School under my watch. Those are the rebels, but they don't know me enough to really be a threat.
I know that. Look, dude, I don't really care as long as I'm able to get fat. I'm good.
I might ship you off to Mars.
Okay, see, there we go.
It's like you weren't
Now I lost my point.
Yeah.
Dang it. Oh, royal court dramas.
Yeah.
So yeah, my world it's based upon, the balance of how much power does one person have. And my core idea is that the entire balance has been offset. Therefore, there is the setup for anyone to betray anybody. And you go, well, why would they do that? You're like, because it's betrayal.
But not just that, like that whole mind frame allows for so many different types of stories you can do.
Exactly.
Based on just the idea of power. There's so much you can do there, which is a great thing. You want to tell a story about power corrupting? There you go.
There you go.
You want about someone who has no power coming to power and then using it to change the world in a positive way.
That's another story.
A person who has no power who comes into power who wants to take revenge on the people who mistreated him.
Right.
It's a similar story to the one example before that, but it's still a new type of different take on it.
Those that are jealous of other people's power.
Yep.
The worry that on a relatively equal powered plane,
Yep.
Politically, that what if one person had too much power?
Yep.
How would the others react?
People not liking that they don't have power, so no one can have power.
Exactly.
What do? How do they go about that? Not realizing, in a sense, they will eventually have their power, but not realize it.
Yes.
Or they do realize it, it's like I don't have enough power, so these people can't have that kind of power.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Stripping power. It's that there is a lot of stories on my planet.
But just think of it this way: that example we just came up with,
Yeah.
using that kind of mind frame for how to build a world.
Yeah.
You come up with one good idea, essence point, and you can just see how all these different things break apart. And we already talked about how our worlds are linked together.
Yes.
Like almost they're not that touching,
No.
but they share an atmosphere, and there's something going on there that I don't think we've talked about yet.
No.
You'll find out in the our starting point discussion that will be released after this episode that why, and what happens when the reason why goes away.
Exactly.
But it's like these worlds are like you could easily go from one to the other and never actually leave an atmosphere.
I mean, you'd have to use a vehicle of some sort.
Yes. It's not like you could like literally step off of one.
The gravitational
That'd be awesome.
anomaly in that area would be crazy anyway.
You know how cool that would be if you could literally just like
Jump.
there's like a world like you're looking through and you see actually the land like going up and you just put your foot there and you put another one and all of a sudden you just the gravitational.
You're part of it.
You're just part of it. You know how weird that would be?
That's too weird.
No, it's cool, but like that's like a mind bending right there.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's all we got for you this week.
Yeah, that was incredibly short, Tim.
Yeah, right around the time frame I wanted.
Okay.
But no. So going forward, after next week's episode, will be about talking about the look of your world.
Right.
Like how many continents, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Because that's a very important part of knowing that stuff. And then going forward, we'll actually be picking an area of a world and fleshing it out. we've been usually doing about 4 episodes for the for each topic. That will be changing based on how many episodes we feel we need to thoroughly cover an area.
Okay.
And we're also going to try. I'm going to be trying to make sure these things are more episodic, so you don't have to be paying attention to each episode.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just not as much fun. You know, I love binge listening to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's easier for people to come in.
Okay.
Because then they go, oh, I like this one. Let me go see what the other stuff was about.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll see that. But we've already said it before. After the world, with the look of your world, we'll be diving into magic.
Mm-hmm. I love how much you've been promoting that one thing.
I know, because I love magic systems. I love them.
I mean, yeah, they're okay.
Shut up. You shut up, sir.
All right.
If you made it to the end of this stream audio with a picture on there, I don't know what to really call this.
It's a podcast.
We'll call it a podcast. You got to the end of this podcast. There we go. Give us a thumbs up, please.
Yes.
Please, please, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comment down below your thoughts on how to continue once you've reached an end of the area. Do you go back in like Adam and just start from revise immediately? Or
what's your method?
Yeah, talk about your method. Talk about how you go about it down below. And then any suggestions on how to keep things straight and fix loopholes, plot
continuity errors.
Yeah, all that good stuff down there. And then also just any questions you have, post them below.
Okay.
We'll keep an eye on that and try to post a quick response.
Yeah, that'll be me.
I'm going to try to pay attention to this podcast. I haven't really been doing a very good job, but I haven't been doing a very good job on a lot of things lately, so I got to get my act together.
All right.
Also, be sure to hit subscribe and smash that bell to be alerted when we do 01 Podcast Group posted new videos.
Yes.
Other than that, what are you doing? Get writing.